Tuesdays from now on at 9 p.m. Eastern time, because we're actually on the road to verification on the app. So we had to make an adjustment. We have a new scheduled show. I'll keep reminding you guys throughout the show. I'll post it on the Instagram. I'll update my bio. Next week, the show starts on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern time. But this is a show that we do every week. It is a show where we talk about coping with emotional, social, and psychological well-being to promote self-reflection and self-healing. And today is such an amazing day. I have an amazing co-host with me today. Sammy J had something going on today where she can't be here, but she is in the comments. So make sure you guys favorite her. She is the co-host, the original co-host of the show. Michelle, are you in the house before I start here? Thank you guys so much for joining us today. I'm so excited. This is going to be an amazing show. Michelle, are you in the house, Michelle? Michelle. Hello, everyone. Thank you guys so much for being here. We'll start here. Michelle is here. Okay, let me make you a bouncer, Michelle, real quick. I thought I did that yesterday, but I guess I forgot. All right, now that everybody is here, without further ado, I'm going to have Emoji J jump in the box and give you a wonderful intro.
Invincible. If you let your guard down, I'm not gonna let you fall. Hold on to me now, I'm not invincible. Drowning in self-doubt, can you pull my demons out?
Thank you so much, Emoji J. That is, I always am so wowed by that by that intro, guys. Emoji J is so helpful to the community on this app. He provides content or intros to a lot of the show creators. So make sure you guys hit him with a favorite. He also records a lot of the MeetMe shows. So if you guys go on YouTube and look up Emoji J, you'll be able to rewatch this show and any of the other shows on the app that you may have missed. So guys, today is an amazing, amazing episode. And I'm so glad you're here for it. But before we get into it, I just want to let you guys know, I see you commenting. I love and appreciate you, but we do have a Q&A section, so we may not acknowledge your comments until that time. And we love and appreciate the gifts, but they will also not be acknowledged. So thank you guys so much. I'll thank you guys individually at the end of the show. But before I introduce you guys to our guest show host today, I am going to jump into some Instagram questions we put on every week on our Instagram, which is breakthestigma_meetme. We put topic questions, and those get projected anonymously up here, and then the host and I will dig into them a little bit. So today we're talking about music therapy, and I asked one poll question, and it was, does music influence your mood? I have about 700 followers on my Instagram, my personal one, and this is where I got this statistic on. So if that gives you a little bit of an idea, we had a 10% no to a 90% yes. The next question was, have you or a loved one ever had professional music therapy? 25% said yes, and sorry about that, I turned my volume down. 25% said yes and 75% said no. And the next question was open-ended. I asked you guys to tell me what music therapy was in your own words. And here's some of the answers I got. Music therapy to me is some days you need the music and other days you need the lyrics. Listen to something that eases your mind. It can either bring out tears if you are needing to cry and release emotion, or bring hope and inspiration. Unleash positivity and emotion. Music therapy is like where you hear music to calm down or just to cheer you up. It calms your mind, especially if you're driving with the windows down during the sunset. Soothing jazz or classical. Feel good vibes of music taking your mind off negative things in life. Playing music. So this is actually from a friend of mine who's a musician. Music therapy, in my words, is how you can express yourself while you listen to it. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to follow us on Instagram and answer those questions. It really helps us provide more of a personal experience to the show. And we also take a look at those and consider making the people who answer those questions a guest on the show. So if you're ever interested in being a guest, check out those questions, answer them on Instagram, and if we're interested and we think that your answer will benefit the show, we will contact you and let you know if we'd like you to be on. So guys, today's show's a little different. I usually have Sammy J here as my co-host, and she still is my co-host. She just had something going on today, so she's in the comments, but she couldn't make the show. But I do have someone really amazing here who is someone I know in person. Actually, both guests today are two people that I know in person, and they're best friends. So if you're just joining, this is Break the Stigma. It's a show we do every week. It's a show about coping with emotional, social, and psychological well-being, and we're trying to help you promote self-healing and self-awareness. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Michelle to you guys. She's a board-certified music therapist and such an amazing person. And she's also new to the app. Both of these guests are new to the app, guys, so make sure you favorite them, show them some love. I'm hoping maybe someday they'll live stream on here, and that would be so cool. Michelle, hello.
Hi, everybody. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. Thank you so much for joining us and being on the show. I'm so excited. This is going to be such an awesome show.
I'm very excited. I'm excited to talk about what music therapy is, how music can be used therapeutically, like some of the answers that I saw that were on Instagram, so we can dive into the differences of that and just maybe even see a little glimpse of what it is that I do and how you can apply it to your life.
Awesome. So if you don't mind, could you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I'm a board certified music therapist. I've been practicing for about a year and a half now, and music has been part of my entire life from, very, very young age until wanting to go into the field to help others through the use of music. So cat lover, friendly. I'm a big empath, so I feel what other people feel, but I have a big heart, and I'm just excited to be here.
And seriously, like you are such an amazing person, and I'm so happy to have you here. But so we saw those Instagram questions. So was there anything you wanted to comment, how you felt about any of those answers that we got today?
No, I think so all of those definitions are like people's own, music therapy in their own words. That's how music is used therapeutically. So if you've never had professional music therapy done, which, by the other statistic, that's like a rare number, right? So that's how we all use music therapeutically in our lives, when we're driving, when we're wanting to think, remind ourselves of a good memory, or not remember a memory. So that's how music is used therapeutically throughout our entire lives. So I think I liked those answers. I think before, I went into the profession, and even now, yes, I'm a music therapist, but I use music therapeutically in my life outside of my work. And that's how I would have viewed music therapy too, had I not went to school and learned more about it. And it's my job also outside of the clinical work, but to educate and advocate everybody on what it is that I do and the benefits of it.
Awesome.
In your life.
So then let me ask you, what is music therapy and what is not music therapy? So what really is it, in your words, I suppose, is what I'm going to ask you.
Music therapy is an established health profession. We've actually been around since the 1950s. It's a clinically and evidence-based practice. So what that means is, the research, there's information to back it up. We're evidence-based. There's proof that this is a profession that does work towards, meaningful goals with the folks. Music is used to address musical and non-musical goals in people's lives to work toward potential areas of growth. And what that means, it's working towards improving areas, your physical means, emotional means, cognitive means, and social means. So within music therapy, there's a therapeutic relationship, which we may think, okay, the person that's receiving the services and the therapist. Well, the music's part of it too, which is, I think, really cool. So it's a 3-person relationship, figuratively, the one's figuratively, but you're all working towards the common goal areas and desires. So what it isn't then is listening to music on Spotify, a music volunteer that you may see like standing in a foyer performing at a nursing home or performing at a hospital, listening to live music or other music or sound-based careers. So music education is not music therapy, and so forth. Music performance is not music therapy. So those, that's essentially what it is, what music therapy is.
Okay, awesome. And if you guys are just joining, my name is Gabby. This is Michelle. She's a board-certified music therapist. We're both hosting this wonderful show that just started on the app last week called Break the Stigma. Today it's on a Thursday at 8, but next week we're actually going to be rescheduling the show, and it's going to be permanent. So we're going to be Tuesdays at 9 p.m. next week, just to give you guys a heads up. I'll kind of mention it a few times in the show. And the show is about emotional, social, and psychological well-being. We talk about coping. We talk about self-healing, self-reflection. And today we're talking about music therapy. So this is a really amazing show. So you were talking about a lot of different settings, Michelle, like hospitals, nursing homes. What kind of person would benefit from music therapy?
So somebody who is in a nursing home that has dementia, that may be a more commonly known area. Somebody who is on the autism spectrum, somebody who may have a diagnosis that they are on hospice and they're on end-of-life care, somebody who is working on attention, wanting to use music to help facilitate attention span, a person who may have been in the war and they're coming back and they may have post-traumatic stress disorder, and so they're using they may have a music therapist at the VA, or they may be seeing somebody through an outpatient service. It's from birth till death. So it's a very wide variety. So hospital, schools, a VA, a rehab center, rehabilitation center, nursing home, assisted living, prisons, private practices.
Prisons.
Mental health.
That one really threw me off there. In prisons, that's interesting. So what would it be like what kind of a prisoner? I mean, I'm just curious, like a prisoner, how would they benefit from music therapy?
They could be isolated. They could be in there for something that, maybe they didn't do. We hear those cases all the time, or maybe they're, maybe there's other reasons where they did it, but they don't think they did. So the music therapist could help with reality orientation. They could help. So, I'm in the prison. This is why I'm here. This is what, and they could talk about like their future plans, like what I want to do when I get out of here. So maybe they make a step-by-step plan that, as soon as I get out of here, I want to apply for a job. I want to, give a hug to all my loved ones, COVID friendly, but
virtual hug.
Also mental health clinics. But not just like the in-person places. So like I work with some folks where, the mental health's a journey. So emotional well-being, all of that is a journey. So you can not be in inpatient settings and also be working on these. So you're working on areas of coping skills, coping with change. Coping with change is a big area of need right now during the
definitely.
So, coping with, your regular emotions. Aside from the pandemic, there's inpatient needs, there's outpatient needs, and again, everything in between that I had already mentioned too. So
cool. So I know I saw, I don't know if this is like surprising to you, but the Instagram poll question that 25% of people had experienced or had a loved one that experienced music therapy. Were you surprised by that number, or do you think that's a typical number? And I mean, to give you an idea, I would say that the majority of my followers are probably like millennial age, give or take. I would say that, I don't know if that makes a difference. I'm just curious.
Um, yes and no. I think it. Yes and no. Is that okay?
Yeah, yeah.
I think, there may have been maybe a millennial person, maybe their loved one had it like on hospice or in the nursing home, or maybe they themselves had it. So, in a different one of the different settings that we mentioned, I work, people work in schools. I work in work for a company right now where people come to see me, and I'm doing virtual, but I also like go out into the community. So, yes and yes and
Yes
no.
and no. Okay. That's
Um,
a fair answer.
right. I think I do think 25%, just overall, again, maybe we have seen professional music therapy, maybe we haven't, but I think that's again, a good number for
Okay.
what we're
Now,
looking.
I am one of the 25%. I've actually had music therapy one time, just one session. And if you guys come in here, again, if you're just joining us, this is Break the Stigma. My name is Gabby. This is Michelle, a board certified music therapist. This is a show we do every week about coping with emotional, social, and psychological well-being by promoting self-healing. So, and by the way, guys, the show is going to be on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. starting next week. So make sure you mark your calendars. But right now we're talking about music therapy, and I've had an experience, and if you guys come in here all the time, then you might have heard this story before. But a couple of years ago, I decided to be proactive, and I was actually pretty scared of myself, and I was like, okay, we got to take action here. So I admitted myself to a psych facility, and I stayed there for 10 days. And I had a ton of different therapeutic experiences, but music therapy was one of them. And I remember we were all in a group, and the music therapist played instrumental jazz music, and I don't remember the context. I don't remember if she may have given us a subject or a feeling, but she said, write lyrics to this instrumental track, and then we're going to go around the room and read it or sing it or whatever you choose. So it was definitely interesting. Some people had some really deep thoughts in their lyrics, and it was super cool. And at the end, she actually brought a ukulele out and had me play because she heard that I played. So I thought that was really, like, she was just a really awesome therapist as well. But
Personalized.
is there a name for that type of a exercise, and how is that type of an exercise beneficial?
So you said this was all instrumental music that you put words to?
Yeah, it was an instrumental jazz track. I don't remember what it was, but I just know she said, write lyrics to this, and then we're gonna sing it.
It's a form of songwriting. So songwriting can be just as that, where you bump my
It's okay.
or it can be anything from making up your, maybe not having that instrumental track, and like, I think I want to write a song about the weather. So just starting with words there, the sun came out, it's a sunny day. And then deciding like where then maybe trying to think about your own music. Like, I think it should sound higher here, or, oh, I don't really know. But that's a form of songwriting. Had there been lyrics and you were, I guess you said you had like a discussion, so that would formally be like a song.
Yeah, there was some sort of a topic that was introduced. I don't remember what it was. This was 2 years ago. It was a really dark time in my life, so a lot of times I don't remember all those details. But it was a very interesting experience.
In those settings, I've used like lyric analysis. So where you have a song that's provided, and then the therapist will, again, the board certified therapist will then either play it themselves, or they'll have it on some sort of track. And so that way, after everything is done, then they will talk, have the person like, what really stuck out to you here. So like those deeper conversations that you were saying that you had, they'll circle like, okay, this reminded me of this, like a situation from when I was a child. This situation wants me, it's made me think about the future and wanting to do better with myself. So those are both like interventions that I would use.
Okay. That's awesome.
Thank you for on that, what you were able to remember.
Wow, that's incredible because you know music is so deep, and I do know that one of the Instagram questions said sometimes you need the music and sometimes you need the lyrics. So that's definitely true.
Both ways
Well,
to write a song.
well, guys, so at the end of the show here, Michelle's actually going to take us through a really cool mock intervention that you guys can do with me, and I've experienced it, and it's really, really cool. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Um, could you actually give us a little bit of an insight on what we should expect with that mock intervention later on in the show?
Sure. So we will be doing a relaxation intervention. So again, taking tools or things that you may have heard me talk about and then like applying it to your life. So our way that we use music therapeutically. So I'll be guiding you through my words and the music that I'm sharing to elicit relaxation. So I may encourage you to close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing. I may talk about just how we want to keep moving through the year. So yeah, I just and you may feel a whole body experience, and that is okay too. So
And I did. And I'm not gonna lie, we tried this before the show, and I promise you guys this is an amazing experience, and I hope that you guys will stay tuned for it. Michelle, thank you so much. I'm gonna have you exit the box, and we're gonna introduce our next guest, which by the way is Michelle's best friend. And I know them both in real life, so it's just really amazing that I'm gonna bring you that you guys are on the app. Make sure you favorite Michelle. Hopefully she'll go live someday. And we're going to she'll come back later, don't worry. And then if you could just exit the box with the X up there. Sure. Sorry, I brought two brand new people to the app, so we're still learning the app. We're still learning the community. You got it. You got it. See you soon. If you guys are just joining, my name is Gabby. This is Break the Stigma. This is a show we do every week about coping with emotional, social, and psychological well-being to promote self-healing. And just to give you guys a little bit of an update if you're new here, we have a reschedule for the show. So next week, the new permanent date and time is Tuesdays at 9 p.m. So make sure you guys mark that in your calendar. I'll post it all over social media to keep you guys updated. So we're talking about music therapy today. I just had Michelle, a board-certified music therapist, get in the box, kind of tell us a little bit about what music therapy is and isn't. Now I'm going to introduce someone so amazing to you guys. She's a great friend of mine. She's an amazing musician, and I am so excited for you guys to meet her. She's also new to the app. Please hit her with a favorite. Show her some love. I'm so excited. Hello, Rachel.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Gabby.
How are you doing?
Doing well. It's really late for me, so it's nice to see everybody.
well, Rachel, thank you so much for joining. Do you mind giving everyone just a little bit of a background about who you are?
Yeah, so my name is Rachel. I'm currently a graduate student studying clinical mental health and student affairs in college, so essentially student development. My background is actually in biology and music performance, so I have a pretty wide range of knowledge and training. And currently I work in a daycare setting, and I manage a drive-in theater on the side periodically, so keep busy.
You definitely are very busy, a very busy bee, very driven, such a driven person. Guys, Rachel is so amazing. I hope that you guys will favor her, and I hope that you consider going live someday because you are seriously so amazing, and I'm just so excited to have you here. So, Rachel, have you ever had music therapy?
I have not actually. My only hands-on experience, which you can't really call it that, is through Michelle. So I've watched her flourish in her career and kind of follow her dreams. And so all the knowledge I know about it and, you know, what takes place in actual therapeutic sessions is from Michelle. So maybe someday.
Cool. So if you guys don't know this, Rachel has been playing the piano for how many years? I don't know if you mentioned this, but
yeah, 15 years now.
15 years. Wow. Wow, that's amazing. So how has music impacted your life in a positive way?
There's a lot that goes into that. And it starts, like specifically with performance for me. So I know you talked, Gabby, like a lot of people said, it impacts their mood. Michelle mentioned how we use it therapeutically in our lives for, driving in the car, making us feel upbeat, maybe crying if we need to, things like that. So for me personally, music has been an outlet through performance. So that's something that, not everybody experiences, and it kind of gives it a little bit of a different twist. So I use it as a coping mechanism, which we'll get to more in other questions, I believe. But it's a way for me to unwind. It started, as an interest, but then it became more of a passion. And where I struggle in other areas of my life, I can't necessarily control. I can control how much effort I put into piano performance, and I can control kind of the effect it has on me and the effect it has on my life. So a coping mechanism is the first descriptor for me.
Definitely. So is there a time that, let's see, how can I word this? Could you describe a time where you used music to cope and how you used it to cope?
So there's a very particular instance in my life that I think about with music performance helping me to cope with life struggles. So I have played for 15 years. I did study it in undergraduate as well. And it's just been a very important part of my life and my identity as a person. Mm-hmm. So I did go through a very difficult time with my own mental health when I was a very young undergraduate, about 7 or 8 years ago now. And I was having some plans that were not so great, some thoughts that were not beneficial to me. And I did have very solid end-of-life plans. And so I did go to sit down. It was almost like an offering to the universe in a sense that, this was the last piano piece I was ever going to play. So I better play it darn well and give all the effort I can so it turns out well, because that's the last piece of me that's going to be here. I was ready to go. I was not in a good place. A lot had led up to that point in my life. And so I sat at the piano, and there's a very specific piece, which I'm going to get to play for some of you guys tonight, that's called Beethoven's Pathétique. So the second movement is a very emotional movement. And for me, playing emotional pieces that have already been composed is my favorite way to cope, my favorite way to use music. I know a lot of people, Gabby mentioned writing, lyrics and things like that. But I don't write any of my own music. I had to compose as a music major. I had to learn how to compose, and I have music theory background. But to me, there's so many greats out there. There's so many masterworks already written, particularly with the Romantic era classical music. So Beethoven, Rachmaninoff, Tchaikovsky, all those type of artists you might have heard of, might have not. Some of their works are just unmatched. They're the greats for the reason. They're going to be around for as long as humanity is around. And I am mediocre at best at music writing compared to everyone. I mean, at the very best. So why would I waste my effort on doing that and adding something that's not going to really benefit anyone when I can sit back and have a piece that's already there, that's already well written, beautifully written, has inspired so many other people before, and I can make it my own. And I can make it affect me how I want to. And that goes back to what I said about the skill set. I really pushed myself through learning how to play the piano, because every time I hit the note just right and played a piece just right, I'm in tears at the end, because it's an emotional release, because I did that. I played the piece how I want to hear it, and no one else can do that. And it's definitely an emotional, personal experience playing an instrument, playing a solo instrument, because you get engulfed in the music and you really do put your own flair to it. So back to that experience, this piece is a very emotional piece that does take a very high skill set to be able to make the melody sing above a lot of other notes in the lower bass notes. So that's like the real low sounding notes in the piece. It can overtake the piece and not make it sound as beautiful as it should be. So when I was going into undergraduate, I really wanted to play something that was emotional, that needed that skill set, because that's what I had really worked on. And this was the piece that got me a scholarship for music in my undergrad years. Wow. So later at this point in my life, when it had not Not too much later, but a little bit down the road when I was not doing well, I was in that dark spot. That was why I wanted to leave this piece as my last one, because I had put a lot of effort, a lot of time into learning it and making it what I wanted of it, so it would be my perfect piece. It was never for anyone else, and yes, because it was my perfect piece, it was performed well for judges, got me where I needed to be, but it was a very personal experience overall. So at that point, I wanted to leave it behind. It was like my greatest work, essentially. I didn't compose it, but I learned how to play it. And so I went to they had some grand pianos on my campus at the time, and I went down to the music rooms and had it memorized, got to memorize, in case anyone was wondering if you're ever going to school for music. It's all got to be stuck up here. There's no notes. It's great. So I sat down, and there was a lot of emotion that overtook me. It was positive, it was negative, it was overwhelming. It really made me think, and it made me feel, which wasn't great, wasn't what I wanted. I kind of wanted to put my feelings into the piece and leave it all behind. But it reminded me of the times I'd played that piece, of the hours I'd spent analyzing the notes, thinking, working my fingers up to be able to do it. Time spent with young family members, helping them at the keys, just playing around with the piece just for fun. Even my mom encouraging me at the time. There was so much that went into playing that piece that time that I don't think I'll ever reach that feeling again in my life, because it really brought me back to what it means to be human and really feel and be connected to everyone around us. So that was the moment I realized that I was connected, I wasn't alone, and I didn't want to continue on. There was so much going on in my life that I didn't think it was the best for me, but I almost felt an obligation to be here as a person, and it wasn't fair to just leave all that emotional feeling behind and not know where it took me. So I ended up telling somebody that I wasn't feeling great, and I'm sitting here before you guys. And I truly will thank this piece for that. It's something, when Gabby asked me to come on the show, I was a little nervous to play. I actually hadn't played piano. I didn't play for the year following my undergraduate, because when you're playing as a piano performance major, you're practicing 2 to 4 hours a day, and it sucks the passion out of it. It wasn't a coping mechanism. So I kind of stepped away from it. When I started to get back into it, my mom unexpectedly passed, and it really kind of sucked the joy out of it again. And I haven't been playing, and it was something that was always obviously so important to me. So this opportunity was huge for me, and it came in tandem with another opportunity to be an accompanist for a local organization, meaning I play piano for their meetings, essentially. And both of them kind of whipped my butt into gear, and I have played more piano in the past 2 or 3 weeks than I have in the 2.5 years since I finished as an undergraduate.
Wow. Guys, this was just a very powerful conversation. And if you guys are just joining, this is a show we do every week. It's called Break the Stigma. My name is Gabby. I am the host of this show. And Rachel is a great friend of mine. I've known since probably 2004. And she just gave us the rundown on how music has been beneficial to her life. And wow, so powerful. And I'm so happy that you're still here, because you are an amazing person. And if you guys are just seeing Rachel for the first time, that's because she is brand new on MeetMe. So make sure you guys hit her with the favorite. Maybe she'll go live someday, and you guys can check her out. She's so amazing. But Rachel did mention that she's going to play a piece for us. So could you just remind us of what the piece is?
Yeah, so it's actually one of the more popular Beethoven pieces, if you can call Beethoven popular by any means. And it's called the Pathétique. There's a lot of numbers and different titles and naming systems that go into classical music, because a lot of these composers had massive amounts of work, and a lot of them, the works themselves, are huge. So this is called Beethoven's Pathétique, is its standard name. It's one of his sonatas. A sonata is just a form of music, how it's written and how the piece flows. So this is the second movement. Typically, the second movement is a little slower, a little easier, more beautiful, I think more melodious. And the first movement of this one in particular is really rough and intense. So it's if you ever want to listen, it's quite a ride from beginning to end of the three movements of the sonata. But yeah, so Beethoven's Pathétique.
All right, girl, you can take the floor.
So yeah, so I'll give you all fair warning. I'm not going to allow you to see my face because Gabby probably remembers from our choir days that when I play piano, I look like I may murder someone. I won't. I never have. It's a scary experience, and it's a really beautiful piece. So I don't want to terrify people by having them see like my glaring eyes as I'm playing it. Also, again, if you haven't heard, you are just joining us, I have not played piano in 2.5 years, so I am a rusty nail for sure. And it's definitely tripping me up. I kind of pulled this piece out of a cobwebbed closet. But I also want to note that it's kind of a neat piece. It's not technically difficult, but it's hard because, like I mentioned earlier, the left hand, the deep, dark tones in this piece are not supposed to be heard as much as the nice, high, beautiful melody. So hopefully, if my skill set has been honed enough, you'll be able to hear the nice little melodic piece throughout that maybe you'll take home, and then maybe you'll listen to a better, more tuned up version of the Pathétique at some point.
Hey, you got it, girl. You got it. You guys will have to look at my face, so sorry.
I'm so sorry. Such a great angle there, folks.
Alrighty, girl, take the floor. And if you guys are just joining before we start this is Rachel. She's a great friend of mine. I'm so excited that she's here. This is a show called Break the Stigma. We do it every week. Today it's at Thursday at 8, but next week it's going to be changed permanently to Tuesdays at 9. So make sure you guys mark your calendars. All right, Rachel, you can take the floor.
Hold up one second. I lost my pedal. So I'm on a keyboard right now, not an actual piano. So I'm losing pieces of my piano as I play.
Oh, gee. It's beautiful.
So, like, my deepest apologies. Page turn, baby. All right, that's it. So sorry
No.
about some of the
Do not apologize. That was so beautiful. Everyone was just saying how they needed that. That was so awesome. And it's so powerful. Such a powerful piece. So powerful, even more so because of how it helped you in your life.
I hope
Wow.
it affects you guys. Listen, if you haven't listened to classical music, especially as studying mental health and having a biology background and just throwing out music therapy is awesome, but classical music in particular has like proven benefits on mental health, on academic achievement, on just so many emotional and mental issues that people face. And I don't think people often have the opportunity to listen to it. And I don't think people realize that there's so many different types. There's stuff like I listened to it before my basketball games and my track and field meets in college. I was like pumping up to some Mozart and Beethoven, but also when I'm really sad and need to cry, there's some like really melancholy Rachmaninoff, and Tchaikovsky is beautiful. And give it a chance, y'all. Like, I cannot stress enough that this is a genre that most people don't have the opportunity to hear or even want to try, but you want to talk about some coping skills and some like mood help, classical music is where it's at.
Definitely. And honestly, but even in just that part of the piece that you played, I felt like different emotions throughout. So that's really cool. Guys, if you're just joining, this is Break the Stigma. My name is Gabby. I'm your host. This is Rachel. She's a great friend of mine and an amazing musician. This is a show we do every week about coping with emotional, social, and psychological well-being to promote self-healing. And just to give you guys an update, the show date and time is changing. Next week, we're going to start having the show on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that will be the permanent date and time. So make sure you guys mark that on your calendars. Favorite Rachel, she's new to the app. I'm hoping that all of the love and positivity from you guys will encourage her to go live sometime, because this community on here is amazing, and the music community on here is amazing. There's so many shows for like music shows on here, so you should really check them out. You really should. I encourage you to check them out. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Rachel?
I mean, I'll go off of that. I'll be honest. I'm really interested in this community. You guys just seem really cool. I'm excited to read some of these comments and hear some of hear some of the questions you guys have for Michelle. I might be on myself, so it's nice to see everyone. Thank you, Gabby, so much for having me on.
Yeah, thank you for being on here. I appreciate it.
Y'all, Gabby, I have known Gabby for more than most of my life, and her life, and I just have to tell you that of all the people I know to like put on a show like this and raise awareness and be an advocate for mental health and just like positivity and well-being, she is the person. She has gone through so much, and like she's a warrior in and of herself. So I'm so glad to see that people tune in and watch her. I'm glad that I found out MeetMe exists because I think that there's so much she could do through this community and through talking about her experiences and her knowledge. So I really do appreciate it, Gabby, like having me on. I'm so excited to be a part of this.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Rachel. Guys' favorite Rachel. I'll have you exit out of the box, and we're going to bring Michelle back in here. Wow, this show is really amazing so far. And just to give you guys a little bit of what we're going to be doing here. So Michelle's a board certified music therapist, and she's about to take us through an amazing exercise that it's a mock. So it's not really a real, it's not really real therapy, keep us safe, but it's going to be super cool. She's going to tell you a little bit about it, and you guys can follow and do it at home. And I promise you, it's so amazing. What's up, Michelle? Thank you so much for being back here with us.
Sure. Again, thank you, Rachel, both for sharing how music has been a part of your lives. And Rachel, yes, I know you outside of here, but thank you for sharing and inspiring me to even get back into doing classical music again. It's been a while for myself. When I work and I have this passion in the job, sometimes I don't use music to help myself outside of work as much as I should be doing. And so I am really motivated to pull my classical music out too. So, and I'm playing piano as well. So more of a functional means for what our intervention and things will be doing. So yeah, I'm just excited to I really benefited from that too. And I think, again, this is a great community and a great way to raise awareness to how we can cope with all the many changes. So I'm ready to get started on my intervention. I'm sorry, getting a little tongue-tied, but
that's okay. This is just there's just so much depth to this show, and I'm so excited for it. It's so amazing. So we're gonna go through a little mock intervention with Michelle, and honestly, this is gonna be an amazing experience. So if you're just joining us, don't leave just yet. I promise you, this is gonna be something that's really gonna be so cool. I'm just so excited. So what should we expect, Michelle, with this mock intervention?
To be very relaxed.
Good.
If you have, I would just encourage you to imagine a situation that you may have been going through. Imagine a situation that has been hard.
How about, while we're on this point, if you guys are not afraid of sharing, how about you guys, is there anything that's been stressing you out lately that you would like to share? Maybe anything that's been on your mind, job interview, COVID, work. I guess for me, it's starting the show. So this has been, not stressful. It's like stressful in like a different way. I feel like there's different kinds of stress in the world, but let's see here. Career moves, work. See a lot of work. All right, so let's think about those things that are stressing us out, and let's try to relax ourselves. I'm really excited here. You can take the floor, Michelle.
Somebody lost a friend. I'm a little bit more. Okay. I can get a feel. Lots of stress and money and work, and I hear that it's a hard time, but using these sort of outlets to stay connected to a community, it'll help continue to keep you through and keep going. So yeah, this is again a mock intervention of what I may use in a session to help somebody work on their current mental health and emotional health goals, just to continue to, thrive and be their best self. I learned this sort of skill set when I was in undergrad. As Gabby said, I'm a music therapist. So my degree is in music therapy. I'm board certified. I took a test after. So after all my schooling and experience at the undergraduate level. So without further ado, I will be doing this. So I invite everybody again. Thank you for sharing your situations. Even if you didn't, you know it up here. And so I hope this helps you in some way. But I invite you to close your eyes if you feel welcome to. If not, that's okay too. But we're gonna try to relax different areas of our body and to think positively. So. We're gonna breathe in and breathe out. It can be a longer one. Let everything out, let it go. Breathe a couple more times. Breathe in. Breathe out. So we're gonna let our head relax. You can move it side to side. Just let it fall like a rag doll and back up. Next, you're gonna wanna focus on your shoulders. Let them rise and fall. A lot of times we keep tension in our shoulders. So just let them relax. You can massage that area too if you need to. So you want to relax your chest. Sometimes when we're in an anxious situation, we're thinking about that work experience or money, we may feel that anxiety right here. And so what we want to do is we want to just let that go. Relax your stomach when we think of our breathing. We don't want to have shallow breathing. We want it to be full. We want to use that diaphragm that we've been given, and we want to fill up with air. Relax your legs and your feet. May you feel firmly planted in the chair that you're in or the couch, wherever you may be tuning in. Just relax those areas too. And sometimes too, in these experiences, there may be pauses, and I just want you to focus on the music and how the melody line goes. Focused on our breathing, our areas that we want to feel comfortable and relaxed on. I'll let the music help you with that. But now I'm going to encourage you to think about that situation that we've talked about. You know, where we may be caught up in that COVID stress, that COVID fatigue. I know even I'm feeling that too. We may, want to be in a place where we wish it was over with. And I think I not only think, but I trust that that day will be here again, where we can be close with one another, where we can hug one another. But I'm so thankful that we have these sort of places to connect with one another in the meantime. While money might feel like it's tight right now, I want you to put your thoughts and energy into the universe right now. Just tell yourself, I can, I will, I'll be okay. I got this. And use that mantra each week, each day. You just, this is a intervention that, yes, that I'm doing, but you can use these tools throughout your life. You're going to be using music therapeutically. But as we talked about those situations, we want to think about, how can we continue to be a light for somebody, or how can we continue to be a light for ourselves when we're feeling the weight of the world. So I want you to think about, how that light shines. It doesn't waver, it doesn't falter, but it's staying lit. May be dim, but that's okay. It's staying lit because we're still hanging on. We have that hope that'll continue to help us through. So as we said, throw any of those circumstances out into the universe. Create or think of a mantra that maybe you could use in your everyday life. A lot of mine is, it has a spiritual connection, but it's thy will be done. It is what it is, essentially, and it will be. But that has been mine to help get me through a lot of this. So just think about that a little bit longer. Just think. Just be. Let's work on some breathing. Breathe in. Breathe out. A couple more as we get back to, reality and where we're at. Breathe in. Let it go, just like I did with those notes. You got this. And if you did have your eyes closed, I encourage you to start opening them. Wake up those areas of the body that we relaxed. Use those techniques throughout your life. And just be a light for those. Be that light. This is the end of our experience.
Wow. Wow. Guys, if you're just joining, this is a show we do every week called Break the Stigma. My name is Gabby. I'm your host. This is Michelle. She is my co-host for the day. Normally we have Sammy, Jay, but she has some stuff going on today. So we are just so thrilled to have you on the show today, Michelle. We're talking about music therapy today for the topic. We're kind of ending the show here soon. We just did a mock intervention with Michelle to elicit. And that's why I have a professional here because I can't even speak English, right? But we were trying to elicit some relaxation. How did you guys feel about that? Because I don't know if any of you guys followed her at home, but man, I did this with her yesterday and I did this today, and I have to say that I could definitely feel relaxed and tired. So does Jeff.
Sleepy face, yeah. I think too, so you may have, being that you were here yesterday, it's a cathartic experience, even like I'm releasing too. I take on what it is that, I may be helping the other person with, but we're releasing it all together. So I think you may have noticed it wasn't the same as yesterday, but that's because, we have different situations that were brought up. We sometimes you can go from a script and like have this, okay, this is what I would like to use. And earlier on in like my practice, I did use a script because, but being flexible and being personal and having that cathartic experience with those that you're working with, like that whole experience, whole person like experience, we sometimes the script might feel like it's a barrier for that. So I was just trying to be present with y'all, and that's kind of where I took it. So some the music spoke when when I was just trying to be there, and sometimes I had the words, and sometimes I pause because that's life too. Pauses are actually a very beautiful part of life. So
Definitely. That was so organic. Wow. That I am still just so amazed at that experience. That is so cool. That's just a glimpse of what Michelle does in her career as a board certified music therapist. We're wrapping up the show here in a moment. Would you guys, if you guys have any questions for Michelle, let me see them in the comments. Like I said, if you guys are just joining, she's a board certified music therapist. We were just talking about what music therapy is, what it isn't. We had a beautiful performance by Rachel today and got the opportunity to talk to her about how music was a positive impact and a coping mechanism in her life. So if you guys have any questions for a board certified music therapist, this is the time.
You can ask. Somebody said, have you ever listened to film scores? Yes. I think they're beautiful. Just like Rachel had talked about, like how important like classical music is, the music that those have created without words. And like, again, having that experience where maybe we don't want to create our own music. Maybe we want to like try to perfect the music already created by somebody else. Film music's beautiful. A lot of times I will engage in like a daily relaxation myself, daily deep breathing, trying to like get ready for the day. And there's a specific track and it's called Soaking Music, and it's on YouTube. It's from a group that I listen to, but it's like their songs and all instrumental and just I can't you have to check it out. But it's really I love instrumental music. So I have listened to film scores. I wanted to know about any good apps for meditation. Thanks for that, Sammy.
Yeah, thank you. I missed it as well.
Can I give them to Gabby to post in her on her Instagram?
So if it's an app and not a website, you can mention it. But if you guys want to know any more information on music therapy, what it is, any resources, I actually post all resources used in the show on the Instagram for the show. So if you guys look in the bio up here, our Instagram is breakthestigma_MeetMe. If you guys already follow my actual Instagram, I have a link to the show Instagram, and I also post everything on my Instagram as well, just in case you might not follow the show's Instagram. So we'll have at least one website on there. It's the board. Well, you don't have to say the website, but it's the board of
Music Therapy Association.
Okay.
Some information from that, but I can provide you some apps. So I'm sorry if I missed anyone's comments on. I'm newer to the app, so I'm trying not. Yeah, if I missed anything and I've gotten distracted, I apologize.
That's okay. I'll look back up and see while you answer Ryan's question. Ryan wanted to know any good apps for meditation.
Yes, and I would love, Ryan, I would love to, if you will reach out to Gabby, or you can reach out to me on here. I will provide those for you at another time. I typically use a lot of, like I said, instrumental YouTube tracks, or I can also recommend using essential oils and a diffuser. There's playlists on Spotify. Again, this is using music therapeutically, not music therapy, so I can give those recommendations. But I would love to get back to you. I'm just not, I don't have one. I haven't explored one. Again, I try to use things live with people, so I apologize, but I would love to get back to you guys on that.
Awesome. Does anyone else have any questions for Michelle before we wrap up the show? And if you're just joining, this is a show we do every week. My name's Gabby. I'm the host of the show Break the Stigma. Michelle is our guest co-host today and a board-certified music therapist. We just had a very, very great show about music therapy. And I'm so glad you guys were here to explore this with me, because, you know, I feel like a lot of us didn't really know what music therapy was until today. So if you guys don't have any other questions, then I guess we are going to move on to the final segment of the show. Make sure you guys favorite Michelle. She is new to the app. I hope that everyone's positivity will encourage her to stream someday. So if you guys want to catch her live in the future, make sure you have her favorited.
I'm very intrigued by it. It seems that this community is very uplifting, and you know, when you reached out to me about doing the show, I was like, that's actually really awesome. Like, you know, we're going through a global pandemic right now. It's a dramatic experience. We need something like this. So I was like, I you know, again, I'll come back. I'll probably tune in most weeks. So I think it's wonderful. And so I'm excited and happy to, you know, be part of this new community. So
awesome. And Chris had a question. He asked, what's one song that you listen to, Michelle, that helps motivate you in the morning? It's a good question.
Oh, gosh. There's one song that I listen to. It's called It's a Good Day. It's a good morning. Wake up to a brand new day. This morning, it's going my way. It's giving me the feeling just what I need. And I can feel this whole world rising up in me. Something like that. I forget the words, but
That definitely sounds motivating.
What did I hear? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Hey, she's let's see. Do you actually, you know, I have a question for you. Do you play any other instruments, Michelle?
Yeah. So, my main instrument, Rachel studied piano. That was her main instrument in school. So my main instrument was voice. I'm a classically trained vocalist. I also had to learn piano. I've played piano for many years of my life too. I want to say closer to about 11. I've also had some years off. I play guitar. I also I play ukulele, so piano and voice were like my main instruments. I've had to learn percussion instruments, so I've learned drumming techniques, and so that's really helpful for like grounding and meditations throughout like your day. But yeah, you come like just like breaking the surface of guitar. I started learning right before I went to college, so that was about 8 years ago. And so, yeah, so I feel like I have my main two, but like now that I'm in the profession, I'm just getting more, I'm trying to be more well-versed in what I do.
That is so amazing. Wow. Guys, if there's no more questions for Michelle, then I'm gonna have you close the box and we're gonna wrap up the show here. Thank you so much for joining. Guys, favorite Michelle. She's new to the app. Rachel's in the comments somewhere. Favorite her. She was our guest today. Thank you guys so much. This was an amazing, amazing show. If you're just joining, this is Break the Stigma. My name is Gabby. This is a show we do every week. We're going to start bringing the show on next week at a different date and time permanently. We're going to have the show every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure you guys mark that on your calendars because this show is just so amazing. I'm so excited. And I just want to thank you guys all for being here. But before we close the show, I always end the show with one of these cards from this deck. This is Soul Truth or Self-Awareness cards. And this is to initiate self-awareness and soul-driven advice. So I'm not going to go into last week's card into too much detail, but last week we talked about how to cope with holiday stress, and the card we chose was how where can I ask for help in my life? And I always post these on Instagram along with every week's topic question, which you saw at the beginning of the show. So if you guys keep your eyes peeled tomorrow for the new weekly topic question, that would be really awesome to see your responses. And we always dig into them during next week's show. So that being said, this week's Soul Truth card is, when was the last time that I danced freely? I thought this was a really relatable card to the content of today. So I'm going to read the very kind of lengthy quote, but it's a good one. Dance because it will shift you into a beautiful state, because it will get you out of your head and into your body and heart, because fear lives in the head, along with anxiety, control, guilt, frustration, and impatience. In just a few minutes of dancing, you will make the shift. You will feel a charge of joy and confidence take over, and you will feel a soul reminder to live and lead from your heart. Dancing is a tool to ground us in the now. It triggers happiness, and it is the gateway to freedom. To become free, dance. And today's soul action. Dance for 3 minutes to your favorite song. Notice the inward fire grow within and the feeling you feel of being you. You are a wild, loving force. Express it today with dance. So guys, with that being said, this card has a lot of potential to be really cool next week. If you guys are feeling up to it, I'm going to post this card on my Instagram, and if anybody has a clip of them dancing to their favorite song, I may have a compilation video made for next week's show. So make sure you guys follow us on our Instagram. It's breakthestigma_meetme. Keep your eyes peeled for the card tomorrow for next week's topic, which will be on my story tomorrow. We're going to be talking about boundaries next week, so I'm really, really excited. And Sammy J right here is the original co-host of the show. Make sure you favorite her. She had some stuff going on today, prevented her from being on the show, but she was in the comments, she was watching, and I'm just, today was such a good show. I appreciate you guys. I'm just going to look seeing who is here. So thank you to everybody who gifted Emoji J, Jameson, Trav, Sammy, Timo, Cody, Lexi, Ann, WHBK, Mr. Hooligan, that boy, Chris dude. Thank you guys so much for being here. Zero Gravity, thank you for being here. Thank you all for your favorites. Thank you all for your time. Remember, next week the show will be on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern time forever. That's it. 9 p.m. Eastern time every Tuesday starting next week. And I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Thank you so much for being a part of the show today. And have a great night, guys.